Usually when we think of helping people, we think of charity. My guest today, however, has a new approach for effecting social change: investment. Hello, and welcome to GPI Forward. I'm Ty Reagan. Joining me, Sophie Sursock, founder and managing partner of the Sky Resilience Fund. So what exactly convinced you to take this approach to investment?
Well, I've been an investor my entire life, my entire career, and I think two things happened. First of all, I started receiving more and more opportunities where I could see that, you know, as an investor, what the main focus would always be return on investments and profitability and effectiveness. So I started receiving all these opportunities where I could see that you could make profit, but at the same time have a beneficial impact on society or economy or whatever. And then the second thing that happened over the last few years, obviously, is the amount of disaster and shocks in our society that was increasing. We can, for instance, talk about refugees or whatever, and the feeling of being so, that there's nothing you can do because I'm not into politics or anything. And then while thinking about it and meeting my partner, Andrea, who used to work at the World Bank, we realized that there was a way to combine, to put development into business and to combine high profit or high return with having a beneficial impact or a resilient impact on societies.
So what would one of these investments you're thinking about look like?
Well, as I said, it would have to have two main criteria. It would have to have high returns and at the same time high resilient impact or high impact. So in order to do that, obviously we're going to be very focused on some sectors like education, like health, or like women, like trying to tackle the refugee issue. And in the same time, as I said, it would have to have a high resilient impact.
Now, finance is usually thought of as definitely a male-dominated sector. Do you think that's impacted or influenced the way you approach working in a field like that? Do you think that's, as a woman, do you think that's affected how you approach some of these investments?
Obviously, because being a woman myself in a man's world, I realize how in a European country, not even in a emerging market countries, I realized how difficult it was to be a woman in a man's and business environment for several reasons. For reasons that are obvious, like all the barriers that women can meet, like legal barriers in some countries, like social barriers, like institutional barriers, but also you have barriers that people don't realize that are really like a lot of a constraint for a woman, like it's harder to network, for instance, being a woman.
Could you tell me a little bit more about that? Maybe what would exactly do you mean by it's harder to network?
Like as a woman in probably less in the United States, but in Europe or in emerging countries, it's harder to go on a face-to-face dinner with a male, unless you have a hidden agenda, or he has a hidden agenda. For instance.
You said, do you think that these experiences have changed the way, because what you're suggesting with investing is something we don't hear about a lot. So could you tell me a little bit about how you think your experiences maybe led you to this approach to investing?
Yeah, what we realized while working on this vision and idea is that the way you would select opportunities, business opportunities, is not much different than the traditional way of doing things, because you still look at high returns and strategic companies. You just adjust a little bit or add a little bit of development into that. For instance, if we take the woman example, which is a good one, it's, I think, consensus for everybody now that empowering women has a great beneficial effect on societies and countries' economy, etc. And in the same time, why would a company led by a woman be less profitable than the same company led by a man? So that's a very good example of being able to invest in a company with high returns that could also benefit.
Thank you. I mean, that seems to sum it up for me. The fact that investing in a company that's led by a woman as opposed to led by a man would produce the same kind of effect financially, but also a significant social impact as well. And why not get both when you can?
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us. For GPI Forward, I'm Ty Reagan. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos.